If your handle isn't where you need it to be in games, then there is a missing link. And by the end of this video, you'll be able to identify exactly what it is and how to work on it to take your handle to the next level. So there's three main categories to your handle. You have the physical, you have the technical, and you have the tactical. Now we're gonna go into depth on all three of them, the different subcategories to each, so that way you guys can identify which one of these is the missing link. And most of you guys, it's going to be either the physical aspect or the tactical aspect. Most of you guys only focus on the technical aspect of dribbling the ball, but there's a lot more to your handle than just that. Now, like I said, the first category is the physical aspect. At the end of the day, your body takes you places on the court, not the basketball. The basketball is just an extension of your body. So if you're slow, if you can't move, it's gonna be really tough to be an elite handler. So the first component to the physical aspect is mobility. If you can't get into certain positions on the basketball floor, get into certain acceleration positions, you're gonna have a tough time getting to where you need to on the floor when you need to do that. So if you guys have a tough time, like I said, getting into these acceleration positions, you play too upright, this might be a limiting factor for you. Now, how do we work on this? PJF and my guy, Mr. Do It Moving, Mike G, are great in terms of building mobility. And what they will kind of tell you is the same thing, is loaded mobility. At the end of the day, you can stretch. That's not going to really do a whole lot for you. So what type of loaded mobility should we do? Squats are a really good one. Again, we're trying to move through full range of motion with weight, and then also getting into split squats where your foot's going to be a little bit far out in front of you, and then getting down into those loaded positions, full range of motion. And we're essentially just getting reps, stretching through that motion and getting stronger in these positions. So if you have a tough time with your mobility, this is one aspect that you guys can work on and improve upon. So the next subcategory in terms of the physical component is strength. Now, it's not necessarily what you think of, just trying to max bench or max squat. While that could help you in terms of your ball handling, the main thing is going to be your core. So there's a couple different main components to your core. To strengthen your core, we have the flexion, which is just crunches. That's where most people stop. Hey, I'm just gonna work on my core, I'm gonna do crunches, I'm gonna do the bicycles. That's not really gonna do a whole lot for you. The next component to that is we have anti-flexion. So that's resisting this movement, which if you guys think about it, happens all the time in basketball. You guys are driving, you wanna get into a stop, not caving into this position, being able to be strong to maintain this position here. So that could be things like back extensions, that could be deadlifts. Those are all going to strengthen your back. The next one from there is anti-rotation. So that's obviously resisting rotation. So you guys can do things like pal off presses where you have a weight and you're just being able to hold it here. If you guys are bumping people or just certain movements, being able to resist that movement. And then from there we have the rotation movement, which is going to be big on our crossovers, being able to be quick and snap into that quick. We can do things like med ball tosses where we're working on that quick, violent movement, just like you would be doing if you're doing a crossover. And then the next one would be anti-lateral flexion, where you're resisting this movement. Again, if you guys are getting bumped or you're trying to bump people, not caving into this or that position, that's where you could just be holding a dumbbell or a kettlebell and you're just walking, resisting that and just keeping your body straight. So those would be the 5 main things in terms of your core that you need to work on. Again, like I said, most people just do the crunches and they stop there. This could be a limiting factor in terms of your handle. If you don't have a strong core, you're going to be limited in terms of the movements and the quality of your movement within your handle. The next subcategory off of that is acceleration and deceleration, starting, stopping. That is a major part of being able to handle the ball effectively. Now, good ways that you guys can work on this is plyos, number one, just being able to get off the ground quick, reactive jumps. Second thing that is great is sprints, just full on 100% max sprints. You can do hill sprints as well. Those are great. I think a lot of basketball players stay within kind of the confines of the court and they never really get to 100% of your movement speed. So being able to just go outside, even if you're only doing 5, 6 full outs, 40, 50 yard sprints a week, that can really help you guys kind of build your first step in your speed. Next thing from there is you guys can work on some first step explosiveness stuff where you guys are tying a band around your waist and then you're just working on that first step where you're starting in kind of a staggered stance like you would if you had the ball in your hand, and then you're just working on that quick first step. You can also do the opposite where the band is pulling you in the direction that you're trying to go. So it's almost like overspeed work where it's helping you get in that direction, kind of just speeding up those fast twitch muscles. So the last part of the physical aspect is the coordination. This is a tough one to work on because a lot of it is built in your younger years. Playing outside at the park, doing a bunch of different movements, playing a lot of different sports is going to help you overall build your movement bank and your coordination. But if you're at a position now where you guys want to build your coordination, I would say just expose yourselves to a lot of different things. Like I was just saying, a lot of people just confine themselves to the basketball court and just to the sport of basketball, where you guys can do as many different things. Try to go play soccer one day, try to go play tennis one day, try to go play pickleball one day. There's obviously some things we can do in terms of coordination with the basketball, which we will touch on a little bit later in the video. But that is what I would say if you guys want to improve your coordination right here, right now. Now moving on to the technical aspect of ball handling. This is where most of you guys spend your time working on things like ball control, change of speed, change of heights. Those are a couple different categories that I just mentioned, but that would be the first one, is ball control, which is one of the most important ones, being able to place the ball where you want it, when you want it. So this is in and outs, this is our between the legs, this is being able to cuff the basketball. These are all super important components of being able to handle the ball at elite level, but this is where most people stop. Now, two subcategories off of that would be changing heights and changing speeds. I would also kind of put that under the ball control category, just because, again, it's kind of the same thing. Like we just discussed, it's more so the physical aspect of being able to change heights, change speeds, and the ball is just coming with you. So you need to be able to control the ball, get where you need to go on the floor, and the ball is just able to move with you. Now, this will also kind of encompass our ability to be deceptive, where we want to decept. Okay, we're trying to move the ball here when we're really trying to go right. Being able to, again, put the ball where you want it, when you want it there, is one of the most important qualities, but not the only quality. If you want to work on it, we have some of the basic stationary ones where we're just working on kind of going over and backwards, going forward and backwards. That's a very simple one. Another one that I really like is on the move, where we're doing the same thing. As often as we can, we want to train our ball control, not only on the move, but also in relation to how we're going to use it on the court, right? A lot of people isolate the skill, which is fine, but then we need to move on to including that skill and how we're going to use it in a game. Maybe we're working on in and outs into pickups into our shot, or maybe we're working on a move into a finish, because again, that is how we're going to use it in the game. That is partially how we should be training it in practice. We also have a full video ball handling workout, which I will link up here that you guys can watch after. I'll also link it in the description as well. So the next subcategory to the technical aspect of ball handling is your footwork. At the end of the day, you guys can be the best stationary ball handler in the world. You guys can be able to do the spider, do a bunch of different combos in the same spot. But if you don't have footwork, if you don't have the ability to move, start, stop how you want efficiently on the court, you're gonna have a really tough time being a elite level ball handler. So the three main things that you guys need to master is your starts, your stops, and your change of directions. There's so many different ways that you guys can do these that I think a lot of people kind of just focus on the basic aspect of it. Okay, starting, I have one way to start, or I have one way to stop, when there's really a million ways to do all of this. And I think a lot of people train this in terms of, I want to learn all of these different moves, when in reality, you should just be learning how to have efficient footwork depending on the situation. So I wouldn't worry too much about training this in isolation a ton. Obviously, you guys need to have basic level of starting, stopping, but it's also going to kind of revert back to our movement principles that we talked about in the beginning. If you guys don't have coordination, you can try to master all this perfect footwork, but in the heat of the game, it's all going to be thrown out the window. So if you want to learn all these different things, you guys can go watch any YouTube video, you guys can go watch any basketball game, take 10 of the footworks that you guys see and go practice them on the court. But at the end of the day, again, once you're in the heat of the game, it's all going to be thrown out the window. So we'll kind of touch on this a little bit more in the read section of this video, but don't think of footwork just from a move perspective or being able to master these basic predetermined moves, because at the end of the day, it's not going to work in the game. So the last aspect to the technical aspect of ball handling is being able to combine overall coordination with your ability to handle the ball, put the ball where you want it, when you want it. Again, we've all seen the players on the court who just kind of move smoothly. They're very efficient. There's not a whole lot of wasted movement, and this is kind of what we're going for, where it's a little bit of footwork, a little bit of ball control, and a little bit of overall coordination, all kind of combined into one. One of the ways that I really like to work on this is what I call flows. So we might be working on a certain footwork or an action where maybe it's through, behind, wrap into a drag, and then through, behind, wrap into a drag. And we're just kind of doing that over and over and over again, kind of getting into a flow with a bunch of different things and seeing how smooth we can do these movements. And then we might just throw another one where it's a through, cross into a drag, and we're just, again, flowing down the court. We're on the move, we're working on our footwork, we're working on our ball control, all in one. I think this is a really good way that we can work on this. I'll throw both of those examples on the screen so you can see it, and a couple different ones. But these are really good ways to kind of combine everything that we talked about: the ball control, the footwork, and the fluidity and coordination all in one. So the last part is the tactical aspect. So this is the more mental aspect of the game, right? We talked about the physical, we talked about the skill aspect, and then now we also have the mental aspect, which most players don't work on, and I think is the most important one. So the first one is just our reads on kind of a micro level. When do I go? When do I stop? When do I cross? Okay, ball's hanging here, defense reaches, I gotta cross here. Most people don't work on that because they're just working in isolation. They're working by themselves, and they don't get enough reps of dealing with the defender and how to read and how to get by them, how to stop, when to stop, why to stop. So you see them get into the games, you see them on the court, they have all the moves, they look great, you put them in front of a defender and they absolutely just shit the bed. This is because they have not worked on the ability to make the reads and do the things at the right time in the right way. So how do we work on this? Simply replicate situations that you'll see in a game. I might put two cones out on the court, right between maybe the elbow and 5 feet away. Get by the defender, one-on-one situation. You got one dribble to attack, make a move, get by. You're working on a lot of different subtle reads in this situation. Another one might be where we just go off of a float and then the defense can play however you want. So you got one float either direction. As soon as you float, defense closes out. Okay, am I going? Am I crossing? Am I shooting? You're working on these reads. So we're just replicating certain actions that you're going to see in a game, whether you're a point guard, whether you're a shooting guard, and just repping these out as many times as we possibly can. So through this, we're not only improving the other aspects that we talked about, but we're tying them all in together. We're starting to tie the physical aspect to the technical aspect, into the tactical aspect, all into one situation. And then this is where we're really going to see our transfer. The second aspect to this is efficiency. Again, we've all seen it, Julian Newman, the guy who just dribbles a lot. He has everything else. He has the physical aspects. He has the technical aspects, but he just doesn't know when to do things. He doesn't know how to be efficient. It takes him 74 dribbles to get to the rim. And at the next level, that's just not going to fly. You need to be efficient. You need to be able to do the most with the least. You need to be able to get a bucket in any way in under 3 dribbles, in under 5 seconds. So this is where we can do the same thing that we were just saying. Hey, you got 3 dribbles downhill to make a move, get a shot. You got one float, and then you got 3 dribbles from there. You got to be efficient getting to your bucket and scoring in as many different ways as possible. Again, this is just one-on-one. And just give yourself limit. You got a 5-second count once the ball gets on the floor. You got 3 dribble limit. And play these in as many different situations that you'll see in games as often as you possibly can. So we also have another video that you guys can go and do, which is 7 better ways that you guys can play one-on-one. I highly recommend that you guys check that out. The last aspect to this is your situational awareness and really your overall IQ, which we also made a video on. But specifically speaking from a handle standpoint, this is the elite point guards, Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Steve Nash. They know when to drive. They know when to kick it. They know when to kind of just dribble the clock out a little bit and then go. They know how the defense is trying to guard them, so they know how they can exploit that. So being able to approach the game from more a strategy standpoint and then how to utilize your handle to benefit as much as you possibly can depending on the situation. Right, I know when to drive, and if I'm going to drive here, I know I'm going to kick there. Being able to put all this together at the end of the day is going to make you the highest level point guard and the best ball handler you guys can possibly be. Now, how do you work on this? Like I said, we made a video on it, but just kind of your general IQ watching film. Why did he do that? Chris Paul goes into this shot. Why did he shoot that shot in this situation? Why did he drive this way? Why did he make that pass? Right, just starting to replay these situations and starting to ask questions, starting, pausing, stopping, replaying it, and then trying to picture yourself in the situation, quizzing yourself, pausing, hey, this guy's gonna drive, what would I do here? And then letting the play out, and then doing it again and again and again. But like I said, we have a whole video on that and how to build your IQ, so if you guys are interested, I'll link all 3 of those videos that I mentioned in the description. But this is the entire recipe to building an elite handle. You can have one piece, you can have a couple of them. But if you don't have all of them, you're not going to be able to maximize your handle and be the best player that you guys can possibly be. If you guys enjoyed this, hit the like button, comment. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.